Hello, budding hackers. Welcome to the Ethical Hacking Hands-On course. In this section, we will be talking about networking, Wi-Fi hacking, and how do you hack Wi-Fi networks. We'll have a first basic understanding of how Wi-Fi networks work. What is the difference between 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz? What is monitor mode and managed mode? And why do you need specific hardware for this part of the course? In fact, this is the only section of the course which requires you to maybe buy some specific hardware. So after that, we'll be talking about what is packet sniffing and how do Wi-Fi hack attacks work and how can we do one easily by following the latest methods. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. And if you're wondering what I'm doing with my terminal here, it's just a simple command that you can type. It's called cmatrix. It may not be installed by default in your Kali, so you can always install it by sudo apt install cmatrix. It just makes your terminal look pretty. So as you can see, I already have it installed. So when I type cmatrix, it just gives this matrix a neo Hollywood look-like feel. Just a fun thing to do in your terminal when you're free. To quit it, you can always press Ctrl+C. So yeah, let's clear our terminal and let's jump right into it. So let's just first talk about how Wi-Fi networks work. So if you remember the previous section in which we talked about networking and routers, and so basically Wi-Fi's are just those network connections instead made to be work wirelessly. So instead of connecting physical wires to the router, we have wireless routers that do the same thing just wirelessly using radio waves. So radio waves have a quality that we call as wavelength. So let's write it here, wavelength. If I can spell correctly, wavelength. So yeah, what is wavelength exactly? So wavelength can also be described as the frequency on which the Wi-Fi networks are working. So let's not get into the too deep history or the physical aspects of it because it can be another topic on its own. Let's just focus on it. As of now, 2021, we have two kinds of wireless frequencies. We have 2.4 gigahertz that has been on the rise since the early days of Wi-Fi. It has been the common frequency that has been in the works since early days of Wi-Fi. And now we have the newer range of frequency, which is 5 gigahertz. As you can see, 5 gigahertz is obviously more than 2.4 gigahertz, but not every network is really changing into 5 gigahertz frequency as of now. So why is that? Let's just talk some basic tips about it. As the frequency is lower, the range is higher. So the benefit of 2.4 gigahertz is that its range is so much higher than anything else on the market right now. Let me just full screen. All right, yeah. So let's talk about 2.4 gigahertz versus 5 gigahertz. So 2.4 gigahertz frequency does not have much range. If you have some old Wi-Fi router at your house, you can always see if it supports 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz. It would have some numbers around it, which would be 102.11.AC or something. If it's an older router, it should have an N there. The N stands for the N band, and N bands give us 2.4 gigahertz frequency. So the range is more, but the speed is lower. On 2.4 gigahertz, you can only achieve speeds of up to 100 Mbps per second. So 100 Mbps. And make sure this is not megabytes per second, this is millibytes per second. Most internet manufacturers use this to, fool you into thinking that you'll actually get 100 megabytes per second. But the thing is that 100 megabits is not equal, 100 megabits is not equal to 100 megabytes per second. So this is so much different than this. In fact, if we talk about it, 100 Mbps in real life only equals to 10 MB per second. So when you look at those, so for example, if you had a 100 MB file, it would take you at least 10 seconds theoretically to download that file instead of 1 second. As you can see here, by this we can understand that we can download a 100 MB file in 1 second, but the small b here represents a millibyte. So millibytes are 10th of a megabyte. So basically the actual speed that you will be getting in megabytes per second is 10 megabytes per second. So if a 100 MB file is to be downloaded, it would take you 10 seconds, not 1 second. So we have those network terminology clear. So next time the Wi-Fi person at your house is claiming how he has those real speeds, you make sure that you are getting the actual speeds that they're promising, not some 100 Mbps thrown around, because these numbers tend to be thrown around to attract customers. So yeah, we got some off topic here. So yeah, we had 2.4 gigahertz. Now what is 5 gigahertz? Well, 5 gigahertz is the newer frequency band. Let me clear it up. So if you have a newer router, you may have some protocol on it which could say 1.2.11. something something with AC at the end of it. So AC stands for the newer protocol AC band, which gives us the ability to have 5 gigahertz frequency. So what is the difference between 5 gigahertz and 2.4? Well, as I told you before, in 2.4 gigahertz, we are limited by our speeds of 100 Mbps, but in 5 gigahertz, we have speeds of up to 1 gigabits per second. So as you can see, the speed increase is huge. So if you want high, as the world is progressing, as the quality of internet is progressing around the world, routers are slowly moving to 5 gigahertz to achieve those higher speeds. But there is a downside to it. As you increase the frequency, the range of the Wi-Fi network decreases. So if you need to have, you have a big house and you earlier used to have a 2.4 gigahertz router and it would give you good range. When you buy a 5 gigahertz router, it may not give you that good of a range. And to achieve the best speeds, you may have to sit close to it or position it somewhere strategically so that it bounces around equally in the house. So that is the main difference between 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz. And the main reason that some networks still use 2.4 gigahertz is because not everyone is, instantly updating as they see, because it's not necessary to every time jump on the new technology, especially for corporates. In a corporate network, networks won't be updated unless it is actually required. So if they're working fine on the 2.4 gigahertz frequency, they won't bother updating to it because it requires cost and money and time. But home routers are now usually nowadays they can be bought in the 5 gigahertz frequency as well as 2.4 gigahertz frequency. So, well, that out of the way, now you understand the difference between a 5 gigahertz network and a 2.4 gigahertz network. What is the difference between them? The basic difference between them is 5 gigahertz allows us to have higher speeds on a lower range, but 2.4 gigahertz gives us basic speeds on a higher range. So that's a balance that we have to keep in while doing so. So, okay, now we have the understanding of Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi frequency bands clear. Let's talk about Wi-Fi hacking. So yes, what about Wi-Fi hacking? So as you may understand, to hack a Wi-Fi, you must be getting in your brain as the idea to get the password of the Wi-Fi. All right, we all have that neighbor whose Wi-Fi is faster than us, and we all want to hack into it and get their password and see what they're doing. So to prevent these kinds of hacks, Wi-Fi over the time has developed new security technologies. It started with WPA, it started with WEP, then it got to WPA, and now we have WPA2 as of now. And WPA3 is in the future works. It is not exactly here right now, but it would be in the soon. It has been, recognized by the industry, but it's very far away in the future. Most routers that you're going to deal with have WPA2 most commonly. So why WPA2? Well, WPA2 is so hard to crack. WPA2 is harder to crack than WPA and WEP. Why is that? Well, WEP send the passwords in plain text. So example, if someone was on your Wi-Fi network and they captured the packets, the data flowing through the air, the data flowing through the radio waves, and they captured the network of a WEP network, they could instantly crack the Wi-Fi password. Same for WPA2, it suffered with the same flaws. It had the ability to encrypt the password, but still it was very much depreciated because its passwords were also very crackable. Then we got the technology WPA2, which is currently found in most routers near you. So if you look around the back of your routers or how the routers are encrypted, either they would be open or they would give you the option to have a WPA2 password key. There is also WPA2 Enterprise, but that is beyond the scope of this course, so we'll not be discussing about that. But for the basics, it's mostly similar to WPA2 at home. So there are two versions of WPA2. There is WPA2 Personal and there is WPA2 Corporate, or whatever you say, business you want to say. There are two versions of it. We'll be focusing on WPA2 Personal. All right. So we have established that most networks around us are using WPA2. So I'll be focusing on the part of cracking WPA2 password. So what happens when a device connects to a Wi-Fi router is that the Wi-Fi, the device, basically, let's example, we have a phone, right? So your phone connects to your Wi-Fi router. So let's imagine from the start, your Wi-Fi router is starting and it has set to everything in the radio waves. It's sending everyone, hey, I am a Wi-Fi router and I am alive. You can connect to me. My name is this and you can connect to me. My name is this and you can connect to me. And it keeps spitting out and shouting that all in the radio waves constantly, so that any device near it can scan it and connect to it. So whenever you click on the Wi-Fi router name, it asks for a password in your phone when you're connecting basically. So you give it that password and you tell the Wi-Fi router, hey, I want to connect with you and this is the password that I want to match. So what would happen is a handshake would happen. It's called a handshake in the technical terms. So what a handshake means is the Wi-Fi router sends some information, then the phone sends some information, Then they both verify that information, and then a connection is completed. And it is all encrypted. So no one sitting on the Wi-Fi network previously or outside can read what is happening between these handshakes. But the security flaw in this is that these handshakes can be captured and brute forced to get the password out of them. So what do I mean by brute force? Well, brute force is basically done when we have hashed passwords. We'll be discussing more about hashing passwords and what it means. But brute force can be understood basically as trying every password until the right one comes up. All right. So it's like if you had, a 1,000-piece puzzle and you did not know which one was the last piece. So you keep trying every piece until it fits. So it's basically that. We capture the handshake connection that happens between two devices when they're connecting to each other. Remember, pay attention to this point. We can get into a network when devices are connected, but we need them to talk to each other again to perform that handshake again. When a device connects to a router for the first time, it completes that handshake. So we need to capture that handshake file somehow, and then we will be brute forcing our passwords on it, because those handshake files, those handshake captures have the password encrypted inside of them. So the basic strategy that we follow, popular strategy basically to follow and to break WPA to Wi-Fi networks, is to sit around the network, to put our adapter in monitor mode, capture those handshakes that the devices are doing, and if all the devices are connected and there are no new devices connected, so how do we capture the handshake then? Because every device has completed their handshake and now we can't force them to make a new handshake. So there are two methods. Either we wait for a new device to come into the Wi-Fi network to perform that handshake, or we also have something which is called as de-auth attack. The de-auth attack, or it can also be called the de-authentication attack. So the name pretty much gives it away. What do I mean by de-auth attack is? So what happens is we sit near that Wi-Fi network. The router is talking to the phones and the phones are talking to the router, and they all have completed their handshakes. So remember, the first way to capture a handshake was to wait until a new device connected. The second way is to launch a de-authentication attack. So what we do is we sit on that router's network and we scream louder than the router to everyone to disconnect. So we force every device on the Wi-Fi router to disconnect from the main router. After we have done that, naturally, as your phone gets disconnected from the Wi-Fi, you must have seen it automatically tries to connect to that Wi-Fi network again. So what we do is we forcefully de-authenticate, or basically we forcefully disconnect all the devices on the Wi-Fi network and then force them to reconnect. And as they're reconnecting to the Wi-Fi network, we sit in between and capture the handshake. So now you understand there are two ways to capture that handshake that the phones and the Wi-Fi routers perform. It's either by waiting on the Wi-Fi network for someone to connect again and then capture the handshake, or purposefully, forcefully de-authenticating every user on the network and making them connect again so that we can capture the handshake file. So this can be considered as an active attack, because as soon as you do this, everyone's phones and Wi-Fi's get disconnected, so they may notice what is happening. But it's not important that every time notices. In fact, if you're in an office and you do this attack, it's not necessary that everyone will notice that their phones got disconnected from Wi-Fi for a couple minutes. The phones will automatically reconnect, and by the time they have reconnected, you would have got a handshake to break with the brute force tools you have. One other thing I would like to mention is, for brute forcing, we need a good password list. We can either create one or our own, which can be discussed later in the course. I'll be discussing later in the course how to create your own word lists. But for example, if you know about rocku.txt, if you're on Kali Linux, your word list will be located in the user share word list folder. So let's get into it. If you remember the previous course, we can change directories by typing cd, then we can type /user, then we can type share, and then we can type word list, and then we can press enter. And now we can type ls to see all the word list folders. So as you can see, we have multiple folders here, and each one of these folders has a, I just made a mistake. I started Dirtbuster. Let's clear that and do ls again. Oh yeah. So as you can see, every one of these folders has a word list for us to run. So the most commonly that you will find is rocku.txt.gz. It would be encrypted by default. You can extract it. In order to extract it, you can open your file manager and then go into the computer, the main file system on the left, and then you can go into user, and then you can go into share, and here you can type word list and you can scroll down, and as you can see, I have found the folder here. You can open it and you may see rocku.txt.gz. It will automatically open and you can drag and extract it. So after, as you can see, we have the txt file, and if you look at the size of it, As you can see, it's 133 megabytes. So there's a lot of stuff in that. ROCU is one of the most common and most popular word list, but it's not necessarily the best one to hack Wi-Fi's. So in order to hack a Wi-Fi, we can use some common word list as well as create our own. For example, if I'm cracking, let's say LG's Wi-Fi network, I'm in LG's office and I want to crack their Wi-Fi network. So I will use Wi-Fi passwords like LG at the rate 1234, etc., etc., etc. So I'll create a big word list of all the possible combinations, and then I might use it to crack Wi-Fi passwords. So we have our theory clear with our on our minds. The first thing that we need to do is find a Wi-Fi network. Let's open a notepad and write our steps down. So you can go to the start and open text editor. This is mousepad. So we can edit in it. I'll just increase the font size for everyone. So yeah, I'll be using this. Okay. So what's the theory first of all? So the step 1 is going to be find a Wi-Fi network with someone connected on it. Because remember, we have to launch a deauthentication attack or wait for someone to connect it. For this example, we'll be looking for a network that has someone connected to it already. After that, what we'll do is we'll get into monitor mode. So what is monitor mode? Let's talk about it. We have two basic modes in a Wi-Fi adapter. We have monitor mode and we have the basic one, which is known as managed mode. So by default, every Wi-Fi device, be it your laptop's Wi-Fi, be it your phone's Wi-Fi or your TV's Wi-Fi, any device that can connect to a Wi-Fi network uses managed mode. So what is managed mode? Managed mode is basically when a device connects on Wi-Fi networks by using basic passwords and such. But it cannot read what is happening around it. It is only managed on the basic principles. But some special Wi-Fi adapters have some special chips inside whose drivers have been updated by the Kali Linux team, which can be put into monitor mode. So what do I mean by monitor mode is that then that device becomes a all-looking array. It can read every Wi-Fi frequency following around it, and that is very crucial for Wi-Fi hacking. So this is what I meant when we needed some specific hardware, You explicitly need a monitor mode capable Wi-Fi card or a Wi-Fi adapter. You can buy those online, you can buy those offline. There are multiple ways. In fact, you can check even if your laptop's Wi-Fi card supports it, but most don't. So I recommend buying a USB Wi-Fi adapter. They are pretty cheap these days. If you want to know what I'm using for this course, well, for this course, I am using this Wi-Fi adapter. It's actually from Terabyte, but it shows in Peha here. So it's pretty cheap. I believe it's the cheapest Wi-Fi adapter you can find which supports monitor mode. So if you want, you can always look around for this and buy this before starting this section. So we have that cleared out. So now we are clear. We have the hardware that we need at our hand. Okay. So we have a device that can be put into monitor mode. The next thing we are going to do is we are going to scan the network. So after we scan the network, we will to capture the handshakes, we'll first need to deauthenticate everyone. So we will launch a deauthentication attack. And after that, we will capture, so in step 5, we'll be capturing the handshake. All right. So after we have captured the handshake, what we'll do is we'll brute force it. So we can go to step 6 and we will give it brute force the handshake. So this is a basic overview of what we're going to do when we're conducting a Wi-Fi network attack and how we'll be doing it. And remember, we'll be focusing on WPA2 networks because those are the most common these days. If you have an open network or a WPA network, those are pretty easy to hack and you can look up online. So yeah, now that we have everything ready, what you need to do is, in case you need to know how to attach that Wi-Fi adapter to your VMware or VirtualBox machine, I'll be discussing some VirtualBox instructions because I am using VirtualBox as of now. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to go to input. If you get out here, you can go to input and you can go to devices and you can check in the USB section that you can select your Wi-Fi adapter here. It's not visible right now, but you can always add it. In case it's not shown here, you can click on USB settings. And as you can see, I have enabled the USB controller at USB 3.0 and added this Rail-Link Technology Corp card. This is my Wi-Fi card. So what I'm going to do is I will first full screen into the host. So yeah. All right. So after full screening, what I'll do is I'll connect my monitor mode capable Wi-Fi adapter, and now I have connected it, and let's see if it's visible or not. So if we see here, you can see the Wi-Fi networks have started populating here. So as you can see, we have some Wi-Fi networks and the Wi-Fi card is working as soon as I connected it. In case you need to verify if your Wi-Fi card is working or not, you can always click on the devices tab here, and then you can go to USB, and as you can see that Railink technology card is ticked. If it is unticked, make sure to tick it here. After you have enabled your Wi-Fi card, then you have made sure that your Wi-Fi card is here. Let's get down to hacking. So in case you are not sure if your Wi-Fi card supports monitor mode or not, we can run one command here. We can type sudo, we can type airplay ng. So this command basically sudo airplay ng --test --WLAN 0. So what do I mean by WLAN 0? This is the name of the Wi-Fi interface in my device. So how do you check the interface name? Well, to check the Wi-Fi interface name, you can always type if config. And when you type if config, you will get something. So ETH0 stands for Ethernet. LO0 is for localhost. So we are going to ignore that. If you're using a Wi-Fi card, you will see something along the lines of WLAN 0 or WLPCS3 or something like that. Basically WL to identify that it's a wireless LAN. So as you can see, my device is wireless LAN 0. So what I'll do is I'll put sudo airplay ng --test --WLAN 0. So what it will do is it will check if the Wi-Fi card that you're using supports monitor mode. I know mine already supports, but I'm giving you this command to check if yours supports too. You can press enter and we will enter our password, which was Kali. And we can see the output says injection is working, found 6 APs, etc, etc, etc. So yes, as soon as it says injection is working, we are free to go ahead with the course. So after you have confirmed that your Wi-Fi adapter is capable of Wi-Fi monitor mode and injection, I can cancel out of this command by pressing Ctrl C and I can clear it. So yeah, how do we start hacking Wi-Fi? Well, if you have explored your Kali system before, you can always go to the start menu, and if you looked here wireless attacks, we have multiple tools here. We also have Aircrack NG, that is the most popular Wi-Fi hacking suite. If you look into it, it has multiple options, and if you have read about Wi-Fi hacking anywhere else before, all of them use Aircrack NG. But in this course, I'm going to be doing something new, and I will not be using aircrack.ng. Not because it's old or it's slow, but because we have a newer way of cracking Wi-Fi's while utilizing the power of everything in the Aircrack NG suite. So for Aircrack NG suite, we needed some special commands like airmon, aircrack, and it became just long and tedious. So I found a great script online that automated every part of it. So I'll be sharing that script with you guys so that you can follow along too. And it makes hacking Wi-Fi a child's game because you only have to press certain keys and everything is automatically sorted for you. Okay. So that tool that we're going to use can be downloaded from the internet, and we can download it by opening a web browser. So as you can see, I have opened just basic Firefox, and we can go to google.com. And the next thing that we're going to type is airgeddon, and then we will type GitHub. So as you type airgeddon, you can get a GitHub link like this, V1S1. When you get a link like this, you understand that it is airgeddon. So what we'll do is we'll be using this script. As you can see, it was updated recently on the March of 22. Basically, this is the more maintained version, and this allows us to hack Wi-Fi's in an easy and scripted way without, following all the commands of aircrack, airplay, and ng. So what we'll do is we'll just download this script. How to download this script and how to install it? Well, if you scroll down, there's an installation section here in the getting started section. So what we'll do is I'll go to this link and I'll wait for it. So as you can see, some commands are written, but I'll be following the same commands as written here, so you can follow too. So what we'll do is we'll open a terminal here and I'll just resize it. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's resize it more. Okay, so let's go with that, and I will make sure that it is always on top so that I don't lose the access of it. So the installation sections here, let's scroll down. Yeah. So the installation sections, you can follow the generic installation sections, and those are pretty easy to follow. So make sure that you're in your home directory. If you're not, you can always type CD and the tilde button. Let me zoom in for you. You can always type CD and the tilde button. If you don't want to type the tilde button, you can always type root/home/Kali. So when you type pwd, you should be in your home Kali directory. So after you have done that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to follow these instructions. So just copy paste these simple commands as it says. We'll first follow the GitHub command here. So we'll paste with the clipboard, and as you can see, I have done just as simple as copy and pasting, and I'll press enter. and it would start downloading Airgeddon from GitHub, then cloning the folder. After that, it wants us to go into that folder. So we'll go into that folder. So we'll type cd Airgeddon, and you can press tab to autocomplete and get inside it. And we can do ls to see what kind of files are present here. As you can see, there are multiple files, but the file we are concerned about is airgeddon.sh. .sh file stands for script. So what we're going to be doing is we are basically going to run this script to hack Wi-Fi networks. Basically, that is what we're going to do. So let's minimize our browser now, and let's make our terminal bigger, and let's start some Wi-Fi hacking now, shall we? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to type sudo, and then I'm going to type /airgeddon.sh. Remember the syntax here, sudo /airgeddon.sh. If you type tab, it should autocomplete on its own. So as you can see, airgeddon.sh. After you have typed that, what we're going to do is, I'll just zoom out a little, and after you have done that, we're going to press enter. It should ask for our password. We can type Kali, and we'll press enter. And as you can see, the script has started. It has some great animations, and it's the newer version. And as you can see, everything is correctly started. So now the first thing that the script will do is it will check if there are any softwares that need to be installed on your system. So what we'll do is we'll press enter, and it would perform this check. There may be some tools that may require installation. So when it pops up for that, it will ask you to press Y here to install. Just press Y here to install. But as of this system, we have all the tools that are needed. So what we'll do is, it says that your distro has all the necessary essential tools. It can continue. So what we're going to do is we're going to press enter. And after it checks for a new version, it says we are on the latest version, and then we are going to press enter. So it says use the interface to work with. So this chipset is the Ethernet 0. We can't use that. Remember to use the wireless LAN or WLAN 0. So as I told before, mine is by Railing Technology. That is basically the chipset maker, the company that makes the chipset. So it says to select the interface. So as you can see, WLAN is on 2. So I'll type just 2 here and press enter. And as you can see, the interface WLAN 0 is selected. The mode is automatically set to monitor, and it's supported bands at 2.4 GHz because my Wi-Fi adapter only supports 2.4 GHz. Yours is not says monitor mode. Just press 2 and it would be put into monitor mode. So after your Wi-Fi card is put into monitor mode, we can get started with the Wi-Fi hacking. So remember the steps that we wrote down if we minimize it. So now the first step that you need to do is find a Wi-Fi network with someone connected. So let's do that. Let's open a terminal, and what we'll do is we'll just so let's start. Where do we start? Well, you see we have all these options to start our attacks with, and we can do anything. So what we'll do is we'll first try to capture a handshake, as we discussed before. So what we'll do is we'll capture a handshake. So it's on the 5th menu. So what I'll do is I'll just type 5th here and press enter. And as you can see, the menus are here. So what we can do is we can explore for targets first. So what I'll do is I'll put 4 here and press enter, and now it will say that the scan will be automatically started, and all the remember, when the scan is started, we can press Ctrl+C to stop the scan and select a target. So I'll just press enter, and as you can see, a window starts. It's in the behind right now because I've made it always on top, so I can make it same as other windows. And now you can see. So don't worry about this basic small window. Just look in the Wi-Fi network that you want to hack. So for this example, we must have a Wi-Fi network near us. If I can make it correctly. So yeah, it's this one, the first one, which says hack me if you can. Let me just press Ctrl+C when the list is updated. When you have spent a couple seconds on the list and let it update, we can press Ctrl+C and the script will run, and it will automatically list all the Wi-Fi networks that it found around you. So these are all the Wi-Fi networks that I found around my area. And these are the BSS IDs, or basically the MAC addresses, as we discussed before in the previous lecture of networking. These are the MAC addresses of the devices. So what I can do is, the orange ones indicate that someone is connected to those Wi-Fi networks already. So we can use those to launch our deauthentication attack. So what we'll do is I'll be using this network here, the 10th one, which says hack me if you can, because this is a test network that was set up by me to demonstrate you guys how hacking works. So I'll be using this network, and as you can see, the signal strength, the power is 82%. So it's a pretty good range network. You should also remember to check the range of the Wi-Fi network near you. And as you can see, it also shares us the encryption method. And as you can see, most the Wi-Fi routers around my area use WPA2. And this should be the same case around you too. So let's select this network. It says 10 here. So what I'll do is I'll just scroll down and it says select target network. So I'll just press 10. And as you can see, interface WLAN 0 in monitor mode selected. And we have the MAC address, the channel, and the selected ESS ID, which says hack me if you can. So this is the Wi-Fi network that we wanted to hack. So what we'll do is Now we have selected the Wi-Fi network, so and we have got into monitor mode and we have scanned the network. So the next thing that we need to do is a de-authentication attack. So how do we do a de-authentication attack? Well, first we'll start capturing the handshake and then we will de-authenticate. So in this section, as you can see, there are two options: capture PMK ID and capture handshake. So what we'll do is we'll be capturing a handshake. So I'll press 6 and you can press enter after that, and it says you have a valid WPA2 target. It just checks and then you can press enter. So as you can see, we get to this menu, attack for handshake. And in this option, we have a deauthent or deassociation MDK4 attack. We have airplay deauth attack. So basically, these two attacks are deauthentication attacks. We're going to follow the basic structure. So I'll just press 1 to follow the first deauthentication attack. And it says the timeout. You can press enter. By default, it will use 20. And it says that two windows will be opened, one with handshake capture and another with attack to force clients to reconnect. So basically, now we'll be automating all those things that we talked about. So we'll be automating the fourth and the fifth step here. So basically, we'll launch a deauthentication attack and they will wait for devices to connect. And as they have connected, we'll make sure to capture those handshakes and then use it to hack the system. So hack the Wi-Fi network, what I mean. So I can press enter now. And as you can see, these two windows will pop up. Don't close them or don't do anything. Let's just wait for them to run. And as you can see, it shows if you're in the capturing handshake window, you can see that it shows the BSS ID of a device connected to your Wi-Fi. All right. So that is the connecting ID of the device that is connected to the Wi-Fi network that you're planning to hack. So what we'll do is so as you can see, automatically the Wi-Fi was captured. So what happened is on my device, I just opened my Wi-Fi and it got disconnected and it got connected again. This should automatically happen between phones. So now it says us where to save that captured handshake file. So we can save it anywhere, and let's just save it in the home, Kali, and let's name it our Wi-Fi handshake.cap. Remember to put the CAP at the end as it is shown here. So you can type Wi-Fi handshake.cap. And let's just put in our desktop folder. So home, Kali, and let's figure this out. Oh my God, we have made some mess. Okay, Kali, and then I can say desktop, and then on desktop we'll name it Wi-Fi handshake.cap and we'll press enter. So it says, oh, directory does not exist. Maybe I typed something wrong. I'll just type again. It's home, Kali, desktop, and Wi-Fi handshake.cap, and we can press enter. And as you can see, the path is valid and script can continue. And if you look around on your desktop, we have a Wi-Fi handshake.cap file here. So we have captured the handshake between those two Wi-Fi networks. So what we'll do is I'll press enter. And now what we can do is we have completed the fifth step, which was capturing the handshake. We already de-authenticated them and then we have captured the handshake. So the last step remains is to brute force the handshake. All right, so we were on this menu and we wanted to crack the Wi-Fi capture file. We already have the selected capture file here, which says home, Kali desktop Wi-Fi handshake as we saved before. And we also have the desktop, basically the word list file here. So what I'll do is I'll start a brute force attack on the captured file that we have. So let's use the first option here, the default one, aircrack-ng dictionary attack. So I'll be using that and I'll press 1 to enter. And then it says that, do I want to use this handshake capture file? I'll say yes. And then it would ask me, do I want to use the same BSS ID? And I would say yes. And then it already asked that you want to use the same word list file, which we already used. I'll say yes. And then I'll press enter. And it says starting decrypt. And I can press enter to continue. And as you can see, the key was found. The password was please don't hack me. As you can see, it was inside the word list file, which I already created. And it's right here. Please don't hack me. So basically that was the password of that Wi-Fi. So now we can connect to that Wi-Fi if we want. So I can just go here and I can, okay, so the Wi-Fi networks are disconnected right now because our Wi-Fi card is in monitor mode. So what we'll do is I'll just press enter here and it says that congratulations, it seems that the key has been decrypted. Do you want to save the trophy file? I'll say Y to save. And it says where do I want to save it? So I'll tell it to save in home, Kali, desktop, and let's just save it cracked.txt and press enter. And as you can see, aircraft trophy file has been generated and now we can press enter and we are on the main menu and I can press 0 to go back to the main menu, then again 0 and then again 0 to exit. And now the script as we are exiting asks, do you want to preserve monitor mode? Now we want to connect to that Wi-Fi network. So we will say no, that we want to get back into managed mode so that we can connect to the Wi-Fi network. So I'll just press N to enter, and it will already put it in managed mode automatically. And now we are back at the terminal. So now we should have the crack.txt file on our desktop. And if we want to try to connect to that Wi-Fi network, we can. So let's just try to connect to it. Let's see if we can connect to it. So sometimes if your Wi-Fi card does not get back into monitor mode, the first thing that you can do is start your device, or the other thing that we can do is we can type airmon stop and then WLAN 0. So we can basically run that same command over a sudo. So the command would be sudo airmon ng stop WLAN 0, and we can press enter, and it will ask for our password. And now monitor mode should be disabled on that device, but we still need to restart the networking service in Kali. So you can use this command to restart the networking services. You can type sudo systemctl, and then you can type restart, and then you can follow as I type case by case network manager.service. So basically this command, you can type this command to restart the networking and Wi-Fi services of Kali Linux, because as we put the Wi-Fi router in monitor mode, it kills the Wi-Fi network service. So we need to restart those. So you can always type this service in case the Wi-Fi does not come back after a successful attack, and you can press enter. And now if we go here, we can see we have a wired connection and we have VPN connections. So what we can do is we can attach a Wi-Fi device here right now. So what I'll do is I'll just disconnect my Wi-Fi adapter from my PC. So as you may have heard, I have disconnected it. And now what I'll do is I'll just connect it again. So now I have connected my Wi-Fi network again to the device, and I can go to the VirtualBox settings, and as you can see, now the Wi-Fi networks are visible here. So remember, we hacked the Wi-Fi network. Let's check. So if we close this file here and we close this file and we open our crack.txt, so this was the airget and decrypted password. We had the BSS ID and it says, please don't hack me. So what we can do is we can connect to that Wi-Fi network with the same password. So I'll just go into more networks, and as you can see, this is the one, hack me if you can. And I can click on it and it asks for a password, and we can type the password that was written here. So I can just basically copy it from here, and I can open that tab and I can paste it here, and I can press connect. And as you can see, we are connected to that Wi-Fi. So basically that was a basic tutorial on how to successfully crack Wi-Fi networks. So yeah, thank you for watching. In the next section, we will be looking at some other networking topics to research more about Wi-Fi hacking and moving away from it. We'll also be discussing about wireless hacking after post-connection attacks. So what happens when you have attacked a network? So as you can see, let's assume this was a corporate network and we hacked into their Wi-Fi. So what can we do now? We already know we can scan over the devices and see which devices are connected. But what can we do with that information? So we'll be looking further into those concepts in the next